Everybody, I am Cinnamon Cooney, your Art Sherpa, and today we're going to be doing a very special multi-part, in-depth class on, this is part of the Big Art Quest 2018. This is Oya, and she is from this really cool African folklore that we found when we were finding different fairy tales to take inspiration from. I believe John, on the mic is my husband, John.
Hello.
He helps me do the show and make sure that I stay on track and remember to paint and teach that painting.
On track as you can be.
As on track as I could be. And then also making sure you guys can see the action. John, I believe she is the basis of Storm in the X-Men.
Yeah, could be.
I actually did a bunch of research on it, watched a ton of YouTube videos, learned a whole bunch about the African pantheon of
well, what I will say
deities
is
and
that
gods and spirits.
Marvel characters actually have some pretty decent origins.
I'm not going to start the DC Marvel fight because we teach painting.
Oh, there's
here.
no fight.
It's
just
no. I love you. No. This is an art show. We're going to teach art. So, the Big Art Quest is a program where we get into things a little more in depthly. The moderators have a link to the website, to the project page. On there will be your reference, there'll be a grid, there'll be a traceable if you prefer that, and there'll be a skin tone guide. And so what we're going to say for this class, we're going to grid her in and then we're going to do some skin tone mapping. I'm going to show you guys how to do that. And we're going to talk about why you would do that, especially in this particular case, why I might do that. And it's a really cool trick. It'll help you with all your portrait painting. I expect this to be at least 3 classes, maybe more.
I'm going to try to put you over there just a little bit.
Me.
I'm going to recenter you.
So, and just the reference is a little bit off screen.
Oh no, that's the natural way that it was.
It wasn't this. I sent you this.
Oh, hold on a second.
You printed this.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay. Well, I just couldn't see her.
That's all she is.
Oh, okay. So they can see her. I just can't see her.
Oh, I don't know. Let me see. Can you guys
I can
see her?
now. Now I can see the whole reference. Just big.
She was just kind of poking off. Probably your monitor.
It could be my monitor.
I think that if I go ooh, over here and I put her around the edge, it looks like she's peeking off the screen.
Yeah.
But that's
okay.
She's
that's
there.
what it is. So that's what we're doing. And so this class, what you're going to expect to learn is how to do skin tone mapping, how to grade, and some stuff about how to paint outside of your own culture, because I have some thoughts on that. Scary as they may be.
You say all that stuff, but we keep getting distracted by
you're just because you say crazy things like Marvel. Okay, so today we're going to be working on an 11 by 14 surface. This is the 12th painting in a series of paintings, all inspired by different fairy tales, and they're all on 11 by 14s. You can find all those classes as part of the Big Art Quest Fairytale series, and you can even join the group and share those paintings there. I'm going to be starting out with a background of raw umber. I may tinter-tone it with black, I'm not sure yet, and we're going to begin with some very important wishes and intentions on our canvas. The first wish and intention on our canvas is that everyone in Alaska be okay. They had a massive earthquake, and there's a lot of concerns for people's safety, especially around the coastline, and so we're just hoping that, 2020 cuts us a break and just doesn't. Let's just hope that. Here's one that came up. We've been talking about this a little bit in group in our wellness, our self-wellness check. And I want to say that if you are for any reason right now alone in a hospital, that because of COVID, your family members cannot be there for you, you can't see the people that you love, that is a really rough place to be. And we hope that you have just the best possible care and that you get the best Jell-O flavor that you can get, and then all the good things that can go your way, and you get better real fast. If you are separated from somebody that you love in that situation, that you have a lot of support too, because that seems to come with a lot of guilt from talking to people. People feel really bad they can't be there. And I have to say, I relate. I would be freaking out if I couldn't be with somebody I cared about. We have a family member going through that right now, and we wish them well in healing. Guys, COVID is some serious stuff, so be careful out there. If you are alone and battling depression, so there's a lot of people that have gotten isolated through a variety of different ways, and they find themselves without a support network. And so I just want to say to you, I want to speak specifically to you, if you're going through that, I want you to know that right now I certainly talk to a counselor. John talks to a counselor. that is a really perfectly wonderful and normal thing to do. And if you can't leave the house, I would suggest BetterHelp.com. I have used them and found them to be incredibly effective for myself and my family. So feel like you're worth taking care of how you feel, because you do deserve to feel better. I also have a wish out there. We heard from a bunch of people that they lost someone and they're not able to have a funeral. They're not able to do those things that we have to do to reconcile such a tremendous loss. And so if you're going through that, I hope you have a lot of support. And especially, this is an extra wish if you parted in harsh terms. Sometimes people have harsh words for each other. And then you get separated, and that's the worst. So I hope if you've gone through that you get some sign that your loved one knows that you care about them and that they're okay. And then the last one, and this is a big one, a doozy, for those that are lost, that you find purpose. If you find yourself adrift right now, I wish for you purpose, because nothing is as much of a life raft sometimes as purpose. So I know it gets me through. I know it gets John through, and I wish that for you. Let's paint our canvas raw umber.
Raw umber.
Now I'm testing some new mops today, so bear with me. I was at Joann's and I got some of these Royal and Langnickel Minto 1-inch oval mops. You guys know how I feel about oval mops, so I'm going to test them. I'll tell you if I love them or I hate them. I think it looks like goat, but I am almost 1,000% sure this is synthetic. So I'm going to get it a little bit wet. I'll know the minute I start painting or touching. No, it's synthetic. The hair shaft tends to swell if they use goat or an animal hair, whereas it does not swell and overtake water if it's synthetic. Here's by the way, John, I'm in Joann's, like you do.
Like you do.
Like I just finally have, because I haven't in months and months and months. And yes, with a mask, and yes, very careful. Wash my hands going in and wash my hands going out. Left no trace. I used Burning Man philosophy. I shed no virus. I left no trace. But I was in there, and I have to say I was really surprised. I saw heart canvases. I saw round canvases. I saw golden paint. I saw some decent brushes. I saw a whole bunch of polar fleece that I just had to have. And I did. I saw some sales. I'm just telling you while I'm painting this whole surface raw umber. I'm just going to paint the whole surface raw umber to start. And I'm doing this because she is really almost a monochromatic study in this image in browns. From her skin tone to the fur to the background stormy sky, that we may kind of play on that. She may be the basis of Storm from the X-Men.
Yep.
So we'll definitely play on that. Definitely internet, check that out. I was looking into it. I watched all of these videos, and it seemed plausible to me. So let me know what you find. I know you guys are much better researchers than anybody else in the world. The internet. They protect all things. They find all things.
Yes.
So let me know. Let's do some good with our surface and our world. All right. So I'm going to rinse this out, and we'll get to see if it stains.
Right.
It looks like it doesn't stain too bad. So again, that's probably an indicator that is a synthetic. Yeah, it's a synthetic. There's no hair smell. What do you think? Don, sniff it. Sniff my brush. Sniff it. Sniff it.
What am I doing here?
Sniff it.
Smells like wet brush.
Does it smell like fur?
With some Sherpa soap.
Does it smell like fur?
I don't know. What's fur smell like?
You don't know what wet fur smells like?
I don't know. Maybe?
Now I'm going to take your Eagle Scout badge away, because I feel like there should be a badge that says Eagle Scout knows what wet fur smells like.
I think it smells like dirty paint water.
Let's dry my canvas now.
All right. So I'm going to say, hey, guys, how's it going? Thank you for joining us tonight. It's really nice to see everyone. We're going to be doing some big art questing. Getting our backgrounds painted in, getting that kind of stuff done. So thank you guys for all joining us. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below. And if you click the bell next to it and then click all, you'll get notifications when we go live. So that's one way. Also, where'd it go? I'm gonna make cinnamon disappear for a second so I can go for this one, and then where is it? Oh, I got a button. Where's the button? Cinnamon's disappeared for the button. But oh, there it is. Okay. If you text 33222 to the Art Sherpa, you can get text notification. We sometimes call those gnomes, so that people can, be in the gnome when we do stuff. It's kind of silly.
I don't know why I'm so excited that I did all this. I bought a new Dritz chalking tool.
Did you?
Yes, they had those there, and I bought one. I almost bought this quilting color wheel because I wanted to see if it would work with painting. I'm going to take this tool. This is a T-square. It's a left-handed T-square. This is a T-square. I don't know if it is or it isn't. I'm going to take this T-square, and I'm going to mark every 1 inch, and this will match the grid that I have. If you want to skip this part and just do the traceable, I highly suggest it, but I do suggest that you stay in and listen to the whole gridding section, because this is where we're going to talk about some very important yet challenging subjects. Oh, yes. That's a 1/2 inch. Girl, learn to measure. 9 inches, 10 inches, there's the 11-inch mark. So once you have that, we're going to make vertical lines across the surface from the top to the bottom. So here's the thing, guys. I've been painting a long, long time. And the honest truth is that we tend to paint ourselves, our communities, our families, the things that we commonly see. Mm-hmm. And as artists, this often leaves us as in a deficit when we try to paint outside our own culture and our own background. One, because it's just not an area that you're versed in, right? You don't have a developed visual language yet. And also, one of the other things that can come up, and I certainly have run into this, is that because you do not maybe share an experience with another person, you can not be aware of somebody else's experience. It's not from a malicious place. It's not from a harsh place. You're just not aware, right? We're learning more about each other every day through the internet, through conversations, through everything. So I am going to speak to you as somebody who is not a person of color, but I'm going to paint a person of color, and the things that I do and think about to be as accurate and compassionate as I can, some things to watch out for. If you have questions about how to handle any situations that come up, and believe you me, in my group, I answer a lot of questions. And I would like to, if you will allow me to be very honest with you. That's always a dangerous space, isn't it? I have in the past, I want you to know,
squeak, squeak.
If you are a person of color, right, you may not be aware that when you're not and you paint outside of your own community, it can be a little bit nerve-wracking. And people, many artists, obviously not all, but many artists really are coming from a great place. But again, we just don't necessarily always have shared experiences.
Okay, so.
Right? Yes?
So you very normally feel a lot of anxiety when
I do, because you just never, but I know that I'm not alone.
No,
I
you're
get
not.
questions all the time. Somebody will paint a portrait and they will make one of the big mistakes and end up posting online and ending up in an uncomfortable situation.
Well, it's so tough right now because it's very hard to say, I identify that my skin tone may be different than your skin tone, but that doesn't mean that I think that's necessarily an intrinsic difference. It's just an observational color shift.
But you know what there is, and I'll say this to you, and the women will get this mostly in the room. I'm going to go to makeup.
Sure.
Makeup.
Okay.
So we were very lucky. I got to go to Prairie View A&M, which is a historically Black Baptist college. And I got to talk to a lot of fantastic women and people. And one of the things that I learned early on is that not only do we have a very different experience with hair, we have a very different experience with makeup.
Yes.
And a lot of times when we're painting, we paint using that experience of makeup. Are you guys familiar with that? That idea of how you apply your makeup kind of helps inform how you might possibly paint a portrait, especially if you're new. What you might not know is that it's very different.
No, I was completely blown away by some of the differences and strange, like, because I went to Prairie View too with Cinnamon and stayed in the dorms. So I had, like, I was made aware of a whole bunch of, like, stuff I just didn't know that my black friends had. Like, they all used lotion on their elbows and hands all the time. And I was like, how come? And he's like, because the temperature here makes it hard on my elbows and hands. And I was like, oh, well, that's why you always have lotion. And so I started using lotion at that time because I thought that was pretty cool.
We had a lot of very patient friends.
Well, yeah. No, I mean, like,
we did have a lot of really patient, understanding friends. And here's the thing.
It's just different stuff. You don't know.
I get that it's rough, right? I do. But I also get that many, many people are coming to this world from such a good place and from such a good heart. And one of the things I want to suggest, so I am not going to be speaking as somebody who's an expert in painting any people of color. I do, and I can mix different skin tones. And my favorite book of skin tones has 500 recipes. So that'll give you an idea of how in the world there's so much variance. And we're going to really learn, even in this one face, this whole lesson is going to be called that skin tones are made of many hues in one face. And if you go look at your skin tone guide, and when we do the color thing here, what you're going to see really quickly is that, on everyone, we are not like Barbie. We're not airbrushed. It's not from head to toe the same skin tone.
I don't know. I'm all Ken under here. Cut. I'm like the physique. It's all plastic.
Okay, if you say so. So one thing really important I want to get out early. If you are an artist of color and you're trying to get specific skill sets involved, can I suggest Alfonso Dunn, a fabulous YouTuber and somebody who has some extraordinary classes.
Yeah,
that you will appreciate. And if you're somebody that wants to learn how to be better at that and to paint more authentically in that way, and to do so in a way where it's just beautifully received, and you get the feedback that you generally create artwork for, I would definitely also check that out. Now I'm going to explain every part of this step by step, right? And you're going to come away knowing a lot more about it. But I'm just going to say this is a deep subject, and we should all dive into it better, because I think if we see each other as beautiful, and if we paint each other, and we spend time observing each other and each other's experiences, that knowing will create a sense of compassion and an ability to listen to each other, which is really important in art and in life.
What was the name of that skin tone book?
I'm going to ask moderator Cat Red. I have it somewhere. I have a link to it. It's the Walter Foster's How to Mix Skin Tones. It's like 400 recipes for skin tone. I normally have it in the description, but I'm pretty sure I don't have it in this description right now. I feel like this T-square has gotten way off square. Is going to make my drawing crazy, but we'll see how it goes.
Well, the edges of these surfaces aren't necessarily square. They're squarish because they only need to be that squarish. And I'm not sure that your T-square is T-square either. I think it's T-ish. It's a cursive T-square. It's a cursive T-square.
Ish.
Yeah, it's just
we're ishing it.
You know.
We're gonna ish too today.
It'll get there.
So these are important things for us to talk about and think about as artists. And I understand it's not always easy to talk about and think about these things as artists. I want you to know, as an artist, I've had moments, I've had mistakes, not mistakes that have come from a bad place or from a place of intolerance, but mistakes that came from either a material science mistake that I made. That's a big one. That'll get you right there. In other words, I did not calibrate for color shift in my watercolor, and I had some skin tone lighten on me quite a lot.
Mm-hmm.
and ended up in, you know, I don't want to say a pickle because, to be really honest, in my experience, this is my advice. If ever you paint something and it is taken, you know, maybe differently than you met it, this is what I have done. This is what has worked for me. Listen, I don't defend. I don't model back. I just try to listen to what the person is saying to me. Because sometimes, even if it isn't true for what I have going on or in my moment or what I was doing, it may be something that needs to be heard and listened to. And I promise you, listening will not cause you to explode. If it did, my kids would have already done me in because I listen all the time.
Okay, so is it okay to post up? In like the Art Sherpa official group, like the paintings that people are working on. I'm not sure where can they. So they got questions they're working on.
I see the butcher's wife says, how do you know which color to take to another color to mix? Doesn't matter. I decided to try painting women in color. Came out okay. Where can I post?
There you go. Where can we post?
And would burnt umber work on this background? All right. So first, I'm going to talk a lot about how we lighten and darken darker skin tones. I'm going to talk about some strategies, and you're going to love that. And definitely, though, get that recipe book because it's just worth its weight in gold. 2, the Art Sherpa official on Fine Art Friday. As long as you're doing tutorials with me, we allow people to share originals. If you're not doing tutorials with me, Art with Friends on Facebook is a good place to share because we don't. That group is just not about me. I explain it further. I'm going to put out. Oh, I don't need to do any more paint. I need to use my grid now. Gridding. So, is there a link for Alfonso Dunn's site? If you just search YouTube for Alfonso Dunn, he'll pull up. In fact, if you just search that right now for Inktober, he'll pull up because there's a big thing going on there. I think I'm going to number this just so I don't get lost. You guys know how I can get lost in my grids. So these numbers will match my reference, and they do help me a lot. Like a lot. This side won't matter until we get down to about 8. So, but I'll still go through the trouble, sometimes these steps. And this class, once we're done drawing in, we're going to really go into how can I do these skin tones correctly, and we're going to talk about some things to avoid. One my daughter helped me with, just number correctly, Sherpa.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, don't teach a numbering class either. Some things to do and some stuff to think about and some things to talk about. So how the gridding basically works is that you don't draw the totality of the image. You draw only what you see in the square. Just what you see in the square. So I'm going to switch to my pencil that I can sharpen. This is a chalk pencil. I can sharpen this, but I don't know where its sharpener is. So this is a chalk pencil. Yeah, this I bought another one today, so the sharpener.
Someone's already run off with it?
I probably just lost it. On this one, I'd say I probably lost it. So the first part of her temple comes here. So that's just basically how that works. We just draw what we see in the square and nothing else. And theoretically, if we do that pretty well, what we have is exactly what we see in the reference photo. Now, for some of you, an inch may actually be quite a large area of space, and you may want to take the reference image and go to arttutor.com's gridding tool and do a 1/2 inch grid. If the 1 inch grid hasn't been getting you through, you're definitely going to want to do a 1/2 inch grid. Okay, eyebrows really high up, but I'm going to take it. It is what it is. And again, these are general thoughts and ideas and things that you're thinking about. They don't have to be perfect. It's just a place to start. Okay, I'm trying to place some, get this placed correctly so I can put the eye in. So I'm using this square area here to help me find the placement of her iris. Now, her eyes are gray. They look blue, but they're actually this spectacular gray. I believe it is a contact. But it may not be. We had a professor, Judd, and he had like the craziest blue eyes and a voice like James Earl Jones. He did okay with the lady.
Mm-hmm.
He did all right.
Not too shabby.
No, none of the ladies were sorry when we would invite him over for Thanksgiving. It made me feel like nobody was that excited to see us, but that's okay. Good times, good times. All right. So, oh, good. You guys are helping each other. When you paint the canvas the same color, why do you still put paint on the other place? I don't like to waste paint, so I just put it on the canvas straight. Is that not good for some reason, or am I okay? You're okay, Amethyst Rock. You're okay. Mm-hmm. You're fine. If you're not finding a need for it, I do what I do because it helps with the depth of color and the layering, but it is not a particularly like crazy, overwhelming thing that you have to do. Like your whole painting won't come apart or come together. So, I actually do think it is okay to paint diversely. I think it's good for us as artists. I think it's important to use a reference. That's my first advice. Do not try to paint somebody without a reference. You're going to make some weird mistakes that are going to get you into some hot water. You know, and so that's something that can happen to you because believe it or not, that makeup thing, that comes up a lot. I come back up to 5, this part of 5 and put in my neck. So when you do makeup, right, like when I do my makeup, I do a very light pink. I pink my cheek. I pink my lip. I pink my forehead. Don't do that. It was really funny. I was doing a palette knife painting, working on some stuff. It's actually not going to be a lesson. And I'm so happy because my daughter, who I call her Miss Social Justice, it's really about it. She's going to save the world, whether the world is interested in being saved or not. I'm going to say this is going to come in at more of a 7. Oh my goodness, am I really off? Might be really, really off. If it goes 7 here. All right. There's weird little things that when you're drawing, you'll like get off and then you'll be like, oh man. Mm-hmm. No, the neck needed to be over here. See? So this is cool because it actually erases. I don't know if I've ever shown that. You can use a wet brush to get this off, but it's just, I'll demonstrate that thing. So you don't want to do a light lip. You don't want to do a light cheek. You really want to pay attention to that. And we're going to really focus on those things, right? You don't want to overly use titanium white. And we'll talk about that as we are. I am not getting this for anything. There's 5, no. And I must be not observing something. Combination, here's what. It is self-conscious for me. I don't want to stick my foot in my mouth because I want everybody, everywhere, to feel valued and seen. Because that's what everybody deserves. I see it come from here to here.
Okay. What did your daughter say to you?
I don't know anymore. Oh, she was just like, she's like, Mom, you can't do that. She's like, you made the makeup mistake. She gave me this whole thing. Apparently, the makeup bloggers have gone down way before me.
So I don't even, like, Teresa was paying more attention to you than I was because I didn't even realize you drifted on a story.
I did. I drifted on the story. I'm trying to get from this square through another square.
That square and that square. Oh, you know what? Maybe I can. Let me see if I have a thing.
You know what? I'm going to come at it from another angle. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go into 5. And I'm going to just do what I see in 5. Just going to do what I see in 5, which is midway in the chin, it comes down like this. And then I'm going to come across 6. I'm going to just do what I see in 6. which is it comes down like this. And then I'm going to go down. Oh, and it does a little bit in 6. There's a little bit. That's what I'm missing is almost a little bit right there in 6. Gosh, that was crazy. Nah. Yes. Yes. Yes, Queen. Got it. There we go. See? Even I sometimes get lost in the grid. This is why I number it. Because if I don't number, it's going to be good for nobody. I'm going to come in here and do her nose. So in art history, we look at things a little differently, I think, than everybody else. I think, one, because artists are asked to look at, really deeply examine why. Why is something the way that it is? Why, are we seeing things the way that they are? And how we can tune that vision in. Yeah, my daughter brought up that it was the makeup. And what I had done is I had gotten out, I wasn't paying attention. And I kind of was just using, because I had a reference, but I didn't have a reference. And I got into the palette knife. And then I just got into like makeup philosophy. And that's how it got away from me. And if you don't have a 15-year-old social avenger in your life, what would you do? No, probably live in more peace. More peace in your life than you've ever lived before. Because let me tell you, it is not peaceful. We were through this with the Red Queen, so I'm ready for this. There we go. So I'm just making sure that as I am painting in, I am getting major information worked out here. Then on her lips, they're going to be down in 4. It's a little bit, sometimes I fast forward through these, like I pre-do this, and then, give you guys the finished grid. But every once in a while, and especially with Big Art Quest, I just slow it down.
You get the full gridding.
You get the full deal. You see me struggle if I struggle. You see me correct what I do wrong. And we just talk about it like it is, even when it's nerve-wracking. I brought fruit. I was late, but I can't eat donuts, says Darcy. But Darcy, why do we all gotta be healthy? It's fine. I love your.
We can have watermelon.
Dorothy, if the Art Sherpa is having problems, I will probably to relaxation method before I start.
Darcy and I will have pineapple donuts.
I don't know what to even say that. I will tell everyone I sold paintings is bragging or anything. I hope not. I've seen others do it before. No, it's not bragging to say you've sold a painting. Congratulations on selling your painting.
It's excitement.
It is exciting. It is okay to say, we, in our group, we have a weird set of rules, but in life, it's super normal. So I'm going to come here across 6. I'm not going to really work in the jewelry too much, just structurally enough to know where it is while I still have a grid to help me through. That wonderful choker there comes through there. And then we're going to say at 7 over here. 7 and 7 comes down on 8. 8 corner. I love this fur. I can't wait to get into painting the fur. Is the dog growling at who?
She's growling at the fence that's blocking her out.
Does she growl at the fence?
She's over there just pacing back and forth. She's tried both edges of the fence. And she sat down and wagged her tail and growled.
What a funny dog. And come down on 14. 14, her bosom starts in 8. Teresa M says, are you going to change the reference at all like you have with the others? Teresa M, in all candor, I don't think so, but there's no telling. Because of the storm connection, I may do something with the sky behind her. Huh? Or storm eyes,
storm
or
eyes?
You mean like storm?
Yeah, like she had like the.
No, see the internet. Nope. I don't. Nope. Not gonna deal with the internet today. Nope.
Why? That's totally marveling out.
I'm not saying marveling out isn't good. I'm not saying marveling out isn't good. So in this, you're just wanting to capture major architectural lines. You can use this method in your own art. In your own art, you can use this method to do your own trip photos. Just any of your stuff that you might like to have and you might need a little extra hand with. Also, sometimes this helps me with the scale thing because I can get off on scale.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got a nice little round medallion happening here in this general area. I will probably kind of get into this necklace though. In all candor.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the cab and all of that. There's a lot of cool stuff going on here, so I'm sort of fascinated by it. This is going to be important. Trying to get her bosom correct is going to be super important. Not just for the dudes, but just in general. All right. So we're getting in there. She's coming in. And what's the general stuff on her, on the fur, which the fur starts up here in 4, comes across 7, 8, dips down 6, and comes over here all the way to 4, when I'm referring to 4 up there. Are you, is it the dog or
the
me?
Dog.
Okay.
Not you.
All right.
I want to make sure the dog is not getting
All right,
into
so
things
now
she
this
should
is
not.
this is the general sense of where her fur. This is all fur, so enjoy that.
Fur.
All right, so here we go. Let's actually take this. So we've got this. I've got some raw umber out, so that'll do. I'm gonna put out some other colors. I'm gonna put out quinacridone magenta, and I'm gonna put out cad red. I'm gonna put out some yellows, black. And we are going to use zinc white predominantly. We will use a bit of titanium white where necessary. We want to be careful with that because if you use too much titanium white to lighten brown, it can get kind of chalky and ashy on you. And that will not be blessed or well received.
All right, hold on a second.
So this is burnt sienna. So what I have here is raw umber. You could use burnt umber. Quinacridone magenta, burnt sienna, zinc white. Let's put out, I find that orange is really great when I'm trying to up and down skin tones, darker skin tones. I'm going to put out a little titanium white, a little bit. Be sure, we could make smoothies. Who can make smoothies?
Darcy, because she brought the fruit.
I do like a smoothie, Darcy. I'm putting out some white here. Putting out some white here. So if you have questions about that, definitely any questions about painting different skin tones or situations that you're worried about or have been in and you want some strategies to get a better outcome, I am super happy to help you because I have been in all of the water, hot or not. So, like, I've been there.
Have you?
Yeah, I really have. I have been there. Now, I may put out crimson if I'm not getting into the colors that I want as I'm working.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the trick. If you are painting any portrait, this is fantastic. But if you're painting portrait where you're not super versed or familiar with how to get the color mixes, how to get the shading, how to get the values, how to get this will help you in short order figure out how to do it so that when you do paint, you understand how to do the stuff. Irene says, how do you decide how many hues are in the skin? So Irene, there is a, if my mods will drop the link to the project page, there's literally a digital image I did where I went through each zone and showed you the different hues of skin, and the variety is astounding, which is where we got the skin tone is many different hues, because skin tone is many different hues. Now I'm going to just work a half-inch angle for this, just because it's easy. You could do bright, just whatever brush you are comfortable mixing with. And let's just start out right here with our raw umber. And we're going to come right here
Well, let me get in there and look
to her cheek. And we're going to see that it doesn't really work anywhere. Closest is maybe on her breast. So when I'm trying to match a skin tone, I'm going to start again with some raw umber. Maybe I'm going to put a little burnt sienna in here. Now, the question I'll always be asking myself is, does it have more red? Does it have more yellow? Does it need more white? Does it need... That's closer. Now let's add some zinc. Not light enough. The reason I use zinc is because it lightens a color without substantially changing it. So this is what we're doing. We're going to go until we color match. What was that?
The dog wanting out.
Oh, we got a good one. So this color match right here at the shoulder. And the other thing when you do this and you let it dry, I just print these out. Look at that. Where you want it is where it almost disappears into the photograph.
Yeah.
So that is just raw umber, burnt sienna, and a little bit of zinc. Can you see that? Jill says, hello, Cinnamon and John. I got up early to catch you. What size canvas is that, please? This is an 11 by 14. But if you start this, know we're going to be here together for many classes. This is one of my deep in, drilled in, let's all spend some time together classes.
The best kind.
The best kind. Well, you do tend to get a lot out of these. It's true. So that was pretty good. Now I can get into my titanium white as well. And I'm going to look for places that might work. So now this is my burnt sienna, raw umber, and my titanium white. And I'm going to come here. And that's a little too dark still, but it's close, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Right? I'm going to go in. Before you begin painting, this is something we want to do. And I asked myself a lot, like, am I going to even demo this? So this would be all the highlights.
Yes, that's the highlight there.
The raw umber, burnt sienna, and a little bit of titanium white are the highlights in her skin, right?
No.
The lightest parts of her skin are that. That's too light. So you can see why here I had to use the zinc versus the titanium white for the highlight. What?
So you're going to make notes on this so that as you do this over the next series of...
Because I love you guys.
Some notes.
There'll be notes.
I
Don't worry.
was actually more worried about notes for you to remember so that like we don't get into painting like 30 and you're like, now what was that skin recipe?
Tamu says, how is the group listed? I request the entry to the patron group. Is that where I start? Well, Tamu, if you are a patron, definitely join the patron group because they get special exclusive classes and all kinds of things, especially depending on the different levels they are. And all their classes are deep and weird. Deep and weird. That sums up the patronage. Deep and weird. But if you're just wanting to share what you're doing in the tutorial, ask your fellow artists questions, get into the community, that is the Art Sherpa official. That is for people to follow my tutorials and want to share those tutorials. If you want to share Big Art Quest, which this is a part of, I have a group on Facebook called the Big Art Quest. And we just share Big Art Quest stuff there. Just that, only that. And then if you want to just do original paintings and being a challenge, we have a group for that. If you want to do acrylic April, we got a group for that. I have like Facebook tells me I have like 20 groups, so it's a problem, and I'm working on it. I'm going to get in a group, a support group for my group problem on Facebook. I have a group where we all pretend to be gnomes. There's not a lot of people in there. I'm just saying I have a group where we all pretend to be gnomes. So I'm going to come down and I'm going to maybe try to get into the breast area because it's a very deep skin tone. You can see here, this is a very, very deep skin tone. I do see a bit of a highlight here, which is what makes this register really as her bosom. So that's going to be an important one to get into. So I'm going to start here. And we've done the raw umber and already been like, dude, that's not going to work. I'm going to add a little of my burnt sienna. Raw umber 1:1, and then I'm going to come in and I'm going to get a little black in there. That's much closer. So that's the range that we're getting into. Now, if I add a little of my zinc white, I want to try to match it where the dot disappears though. Ah, there we go.
Ooh.
I added zinc white to my raw umber, my burnt sienna, my Mars black to get the dot to disappear. I'm going to guess if I want to get to that highlight on her bosom, I'm going to get into my same mix, but a little more zinc and a little more burnt sienna. Yep. And it disappeared. So that's what we're doing. The lips. Right? Places to not go crazy, and we're going to match this cheek exactly. We have not hit the cheek yet. We're going to get into the lips. We've done the highlight. We've done that really well, and we're going to hear. Things to remember is you'll notice that her lips are not light, right? And they are not pink. It's just a temptation to put, put lipstick on everybody. I get it. Her top lip is darker than her bottom lip. But her bottom lip, and especially when you look at the digital thing, has a strong maroon element to it. So I'm going to take my magenta and my burnt sienna and a little bit of my zinc white, and I may have to get some of my, there we go. My umber in there, and let's see where we're at. Little dark, but in the range. So let's come here, and what color are we using? We're using zinc, and we use zinc because it lets us lighten a color without fundamentally changing it too soon. Go even lighter. And again, as light as this is, there it is. It disappears into that, even in the reflection. So, quinacridone magenta, burnt sienna, a little bit of my raw umber, and my zinc white for lip, right? And that's also very similar up into what's going on around her eye here. So let's match a mass tone on her cheek and stuff. And I have my orange and yellow and red out here, and I haven't even really had to get into it yet. I can always get into it. I can come here and I can be like, all right, here's a little bit of my umber, and I can take a little of my yellow into that. And a little bit of my burnt sienna. My burnt sienna is what I'm using in place of a red. Dark, right? And it doesn't really, I don't really see anywhere that would work. That was the wrong direction. Now I can come in here and lighten this with some zinc. And you have to remember, like, even just catching the value will help. But there we go. See how that's starting to disappear?
Yeah.
You have to get in there with that zinc. And so this, I did the raw umber, a little cad yellow, a little burnt sienna, and added zinc white till I got into that range. You know, and I think, you know, even in some places, but if I add a little titanium white, does that get more on or does that get more off? I'm mixing into a darker color. That's not bad, guys. It's a little bit, it tipped kind of a little bit yellow, but we're getting there. I'll take my lip color. I'm going to come in here, right? Now there we go. See that one?
Yeah.
That's the one. That is the one. So I will post this and also notes, and we'll talk about the colors we used and what mixes. If you guys take notes, I highly recommend that. This will, oh, that's perfect for the side nose, right? On the side of her nose, and even there. So we're getting into a skin palette that could work for us. So our skin palette, right, will probably be, in this particular case, quinacridone magenta, burnt sienna, raw umber, zinc white, a little titanium white, Mars black, and I may have to the side a bit of my cad yellow. I don't think I will be getting into my cad red or my orange. What brand of brush am I using? I am using a silver brush. This particular line by Silver is Ruby Satin. This is a 1/2 inch angle. It's short handled and it's fantastic for sitting when you paint. There we go. Almost there. That one's pretty close too.
Yeah.
And notice that she does have a darker skin tone along her jawline and under her chin. The thing to avoid here when we're painting this is it'll be very critical to catch all these smooth transitions, or we're going to end up looking like we're giving her a beard, which we do not want for any reason. That'll be one of the things that we're going to try to avoid. I'm going to get a little bit of a kind of darker top lip color, I think, and see if I can catch the top lip here. That's still it. This one actually, I would say, even has, I'm adding a little black to it. There we go. See, that's where we're getting. So try that. If you've got a printer, you can print this exercise out and do this with me and be ready for the next class. If you don't have a printer, you can just watch this. You know, you can go back to, I will chapter stamp this. I will chapter when I start the skin tone discussion so that you can find that easily. And then that way you know where the grid is and when the skin tone one starts.
All right.
Does that seem good? So does that help you guys like get
Very much.
like an understanding of, you know, like how are we going to do this? Now, this trick here, you know, you can spend, it's not going to hurt you to spend an hour, 2 hours just playing with it, just touching dots and trying to get as close as you can to match the different colors that you see here. It's like a warm-up exercise. It kind of gets you like going, oh, well, this is how I can get this skin tone. This is how I can get this skin tone. I was talking with an artist I know, and we were talking about making those transitions around the face to create the shading of the face and how challenging those micro mixes are. If that's been really hard for you, find the middle skin tone that is kind of representative of everything. Make up a larger amount of that. Some people buy skin tones pre-mixed in the tube. You can buy every skin color pre-mixed in the tube, right? So almost like makeup. So if you're having trouble getting the base mix and then micro mixing up and down, one strategy that you can do is to find a skin tone. You know, take your little picture right in to Michael's or Joann's or wherever you're shopping for paint, your local paint store. Walk up to the golden, and I suggest the golden, unless they have, who else does it? Holbein will also do this because they swatch the tube and hold up your picture, your references, whatever you're using to the tubes. Find what comes the closest and use that as your base tube. We're going to mix up our master mix next class, and we're going to start to lay in her face and skin and do all of that. But that is, if you're like worried about it and you're like, man, that's going to be like really hard for me, that would be a way that you could get around it. Darcy says this was a great help and she appreciates it. And yeah, this is a ruby satin, so ruby satin half-inch angle brush. Ruby satin half-inch angle brush. Ashley, my Eric Nash Welch in group. Your Eric, I don't know who. I would not know that was you, Ashley. I would not know. So, do we have any other questions? Debbie Mitchell's asking about my mom. I think my mom was on tonight. I had to move. I don't generally go live at the same time as my mom, but we had doctor's appointments. Nothing bad, just adulting. Just the adulting ones that you have to do. We have scheduled them today and tomorrow so that we can get them done and out of the way. But that meant that I had to bump the class to this evening. Because you can't get a doctor's appointment on regular stuff, like just a regular dental exam or just regular stuff. I'm gonna get my breast image because you got to do breast health, right? Take care of the tatas and make sure you get scans. And John's doing his stuff. You're getting all the good dude stuff done.
I am.
He's getting all the dude stuff done, and I'm getting all the not dude stuff done. And then hopefully all the tests will come back like, you spent a day doing nothing, but now you know you're okay. So fingers crossed on that. And so that's why we're there. But I think she is, yes, I believe so. Should we do swatches and notes to perhaps make it easier, says Jill Evans. You should absolutely get in the habit of doing swatches and notes. And here's what, I'll put my notes up and they'll be helpful to you. I'll put them up sometime tomorrow. I've got just doctors all day, but as soon as I'm back, I'll put them up sometime tomorrow. But what I would say is how you might take notes is maybe different than how I might express it. One thing I learned in math is that I needed to learn a way to talk to myself about what the instructor was trying to say to me and what the numbers were doing. And so I doodled and I did all kinds of weird stuff. But those strategies really helped me improve. So I will put up my notes, but if you want to take different notes or you have a different way into the solution, use it. Just because you're new at painting doesn't mean you don't have a brilliant instinct or know what you need. You're looking so weird, John. I don't know what to think.
Oh, no, it's great.
Deborah's like, I'm trying to watch both you and Ginger and John at the same time. That's a lot to take in. That's a lot to take in. So what hoot is this? This is 3. This girl's a full 3 hoot. I still suggest watching the 3 hoots because I cover stuff most people charge for. And these long multi things, these are like deep workshops and they're free and I do them every once in a while, take advantage of them. And even if you're not painting them, come in because we talk about important stuff like that. We talk about painting outside of our own community, right? Painting outside of our own experience. It's important. You paint what you live and what you know, and that's good. And we should all have stuff on our walls that makes us feel. But I also think it's important to feel comfortable painting anything and anyone you feel is beautiful. Like I feel this girl is stunning. So I'm super excited to paint her. I think she's beautiful. And so for me, that's very compelling. That's why I picked her and her mythology, plus the X-Men reference totally sucked me in. Whatever gets you into the painting. And, Alfonso Dunn, check out his stuff. He's fantastic and is just, I think, also a very good teacher. And if you're working on drawing, a very good teacher as well. You can tell him I said hi, good job. Or not. That's not also required. How weird is that? The Sherpa said, hi, good job. We don't know each other. We're total strangers. That would be so weird. He's sitting there in his own house going is this crazy woman with purple hair stalking me? No,
Maybe.
Maybe. Maybe. Stalking a little bit. But these are good resources. Robin Clontis did a really good one with Morgan Freeman on Skin Tone. It would be a good watch real quick, too. So there's some stuff out there. Just know that it's okay, and you can do this, and it'll come out, and you can get the painting that you want. Painting people is hard and not hard. I don't even tell you. Now, I will not normally be Monday late, but I will schedule up ahead. She will probably, I made a drip. That's what happened there. I will probably put in the newsletter. Also, we'll put it on the calendar on the website. If you go to theartsherpa.com, there's a calendar. You can see what's scheduled up there. If we move dates, we move it there. Project pages with extra information can be found there. Traceables can be found there. That information is generally all there. to just go by and check that out. I also announce it in the Art Sherpa official group, and I announce it in the Big Art Quest, and I announce it on the Art Sherpa page. So I literally am so noisy about it. If you're following me and you have your notifications turned on, you should be like, oh my gosh, make this woman shut up. But in that, I will tell you when the next class is going to be. I know more than 3. I know she's going to be more than 3. I don't think she's going to be as difficult for me as the Selkie was, that was crazy. That was a wild one. But I'm glad we'll be wrapping up the quest. Any questions before I go? May I ask where you found the image? I use paid image sites, and I used to be like super candid about that, but then a bunch of other creators started using them and painting the same stuff as me, and it got weird and awkward. So now I'm kind of like, but Shutterstock. You know, don't tell everyone on YouTube, because it's just so rough when I do a painting from a reference and then another creator does a painting from the reference, knowing that I did, and then I got to answer that I copied them. It just makes me, I don't even know what to, I have to be like, this was 2 years ago and I paid for it. Nobody even knew about this website. I don't generally say that. I'm just generally like, nope, we just must have licensed from the same place. But in my head, I'm freaking out. Do you ever do that? Freak out in your head? Mm-hmm. Inside thoughts. There's the inside thinking, and then there's the outside expressing. So definitely probably some filtration. Also, if I can recommend another good reference site, is Paint My Photo. Paint My Photo. It's an unpaid site. It's free to use. They have just a couple rules that are super easy for artists, which is, and the only reason you don't see them on the show is I'm not allowed to show the photograph reference in the video, because the photograph belongs to the photographer. However, they provide free photographs for you to paint. You don't even have to credit the photographer back if you don't want to. You don't have to pay them. It's a type of Creative Commons licensing. The only thing you wouldn't have rights to is to publish or use the photograph without the consent of the photographer. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Anyways, it's terrific, and there's so many good photographers that donate amazing references there, and they don't have the problems that maybe Pixabay or Upsplash will sometimes have.
Yeah.
Great resource. Paint My Photo. You can tell them I sent you. All right. Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. Seriously, do those things. And I want to see you at an easel really soon. Bye-bye. Bye.